everyone, welcome to a new video. Do you ever buy something crafty with all the best intentions of getting on and doing it and then never doing it and it just stays in the cupboard? Well, you might remember, if you're an oldie but goldie, that about 2 years ago I did a craft haul from a company called George Weil, I think it's pronounced. I didn't know how to pronounce it then, I still don't know how to pronounce it now. But it included a natural dye kit from Fibrecrafts. And I did one at the time, which I'll get in a minute if I can find it. And the one I used then was alkanet. Didn't go particularly well, and I think probably that's why I didn't carry on and do the others, because I was probably put off by it. So I'll show you quickly what came in this box. You can, I think, get this from Amazon as well, or I've seen it on eBay or something. So it comes with a big load of wool, and the dyes we've got are turmeric, elderberries, logwood chips, madder, and a mystery one called just natural dye forest green. So I'm not quite sure what plant is in that. And then there's also a pack of mordants, different mordants. Let me put that down. So I know I used the alum with the alkanet. And so also in here is iron, tin, chrome and copper. Right, so here is my massive aluminium pot. I don't know if this is aluminium or stainless steel actually. It's been outside quite a lot and it hasn't rusted. And I can't remember whether that means, I think that means it's stainless steel. But I don't really need something as big as this because the packets of dye are quite small and the pieces of fabric I'm going to be trying are quite small. I want to try and get the best effects out of the dye as possible. I've got some beautiful, gorgeous silk, it was called silk padge. I think it's the same as habitized silk, really light and floaty and just so silky and lovely. I'll be using that. And I've got some organic cotton gauze as well, so I'll be giving that a try. Anyway, I actually started this video and completely forgot to do an introduction. So in my dye pot I already have marigold. That's the other packet that came in here, which was just like literally a pack of dried marigold flowers. I did a little bit of research because I think that was my problem with the alkanet that I used a couple of years ago, as I didn't look up the fact that you're supposed to soak it in water to sort of release some of it before even trying to dye. And if I'd done that research, maybe my results would have been better. You didn't have to soak the flowers first, but the advice was recommended that I leave the fabric in to soak for quite a long time. So I'm going to quickly put the clips in that I've already recorded, and I'll do that now. I was going to use alum, but it looks like I've already used that up, so I am using chrome, which I have to say I'm a little bit nervous about. I'm gonna do some research before I chuck this in. Back in a minute. Okay, for mortaring this lot, I've just used salt and vinegar. Salt for the cotton and vinegar for the silk, and I'm just gonna plonk it in and stir it in. Oh, look at that. That's quite satisfying. I thought I had some alum, but I don't. And after reading up about some of the chemicals that came in the kit, I'm not too keen on using them indoors when it's too cold to have the window open, and I don't have a lid big enough for this pan, so I'm just going to go with the safe option and use salt and vinegar, as I've used it before and I've had successful results. So let's give it a go. Okay, well, I just took the fabric out of the water and plonked it there, and now here we go. I haven't made the hole big enough to do this one-handed. As you saw, I very briefly mentioned that I was going to use chrome, and then I did some research and it said not to. Yeah, in fact, I don't know if I'm going to use any of those mordants. One website in particular said definitely not to use any of those indoors, or at least if you do, in a well ventilated room and also with a lid on top, so you consume as few fumes as possible. Well, that sounded a bit scary to me, and it's March, it's very cold, I don't really want to have the window open. So I have in fact ordered some more alum, which came just from Amazon yesterday. So I'm ready to carry on and try my next lot. And I'll show you the results of the marigold. So now is the perfect time to be doing it because the Ray-Ban is still lit. So I'm not using any fuel specifically for dyeing. I've got it lit anyway to heat the house. So it's the perfect time. I can give it a wash and hopefully find some time when it's not raining to dry the fabrics outside. Yeah, we have a wood-fired Ray-Ban and we'll be letting it die out soon, I expect. Hopefully, if the weather warms up. Oh, anyway, I'm waffling. This marigold has now been in here for 3 days and the results are not great. I'll show you. Right, okay, this is the silk and we've actually got it. It did take 2 days before I got any colour onto here, really. So I definitely recommend leaving it for as long as you possibly can. As you can see, we've got quite a nice, pretty, not altogether majorly vibrant, but a pretty shade of sort of mustardy yellow. I quite like that. By the way, I did just chuck it all in at the same time. I don't think I could ever be a professional natural dyer because I don't have the patience for it. I did not have the patience to leave the petals seeping on their own for 2 days and then the fabrics for another 2 days. So I just put it in all together, and I can see I might regret that because it's gonna be a nightmare to rinse all this off. I'll have to get the hose pipe on it outside, I think. The cotton, not so much. I don't hold my hopes up that much for the cotton. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually pour that just into a bucket and leave it until I next need the bucket after the next lot's done. So the marigold fabric is now drying on the line outside. I'll leave the rinsing and washing till as late as possible, but that's freed up this bowl. So this now has the elderberry fabric in. So that's gone a sort of silvery grey with a hint of beige in it almost. Again, the silk seems to have taken a lot better than the cotton, but until it's all washed out and dried properly, we shall see. It really does stink. But look at the colour of the water, it's gone quite dark, so I would have thought this would have taken up a bit better, but it obviously hasn't. So now the pot on the Rayburn has got the silk and cotton in there, mordanting in alum. Mordanting, is that a verb? And the next one I'm going to use is logwood chips, so that's going in now. There we go. Oh, I forgot to say, the elderberry one was left on this stove for 2.5 days, so it had a good long time to soak, and I've read that logwood needs soaking a long time as well, so I'll probably leave this on for as long as possible. Oh, look at that colour coming from it. It's like a bright pink. That's exciting. I'll stir that in. Well, I can't believe how well that has dyed, so I'm actually going to see if I can eke out a little bit more dye in it, and I'm going to take that out, put it in the bowl that I've got next to me in the sink, and then add a little bit more alum and put in some more fabric into this pot, see if it will work or not. I don't know what this like coppery orange bit on the fabric is there. That's a shame. I was not expecting this colour from the logwood chips at all. So it's looking to me like this next dye pot has successfully dyed the fabric again. I'm next going to do some wool actually. In the same kit we were given this skein of wool, which I wasn't really going to bother about because I'm not a knitter, but my daughter does crochet, and I thought actually, even if it goes a pale, because she likes her pastel colours, a pale lilac, she'd love this, so I thought I'd dye it for her. It's quite posh wool, I think. 100% blue-faced Leicester, made in Yorkshire. There we go. The piece of paper that came with it did actually say to add some vinegar for the wool, so I might add a little bit. Right, so it's heating back up on the Rayburn now. Giving it a good soak. As you can see, it's just sort of floating on the surface. Go and get in there. Okay, I'm going to have to drop it all in and get a spoon. Right, this is difficult to do one-handed. I'll pop the camera down and show you how it's looking tomorrow morning. So here's the result of the wool, which has also gone a really dark purple. Not the sort of lilac that I'd expected. There's obviously, until I've rinsed it and washed it, we don't know what the exact result is going to be, but looking good so far. I also chucked in some of this cotton lace. It'll be interesting to see if this stays, because this has actually already been through a purple washing machine Dylon dye, and it just washed out completely white, which I was really surprised at because I've done tea staining on this and it's been fine. So it'll be interesting to see whether this lasts after a wash. They look like there's still perfectly good dye left, so I've actually put it in a glass bottle, so I might just keep that for a while and use it again for purple dye. Next dye pot, the alum's already in there, been dissolving it in the warm water. There is still traces of to purple, even though I washed it out. So this result might not always be the same in the future. But my next dye going in is chopped madder. So I'm going to leave that to soak in there. The water is heating up nicely, and then I'll add the cotton and silk a bit later. Well, look at this. This is the result of the madder. This is the cotton, and here's the silk. So it's gone a really sort of quite a rich russet orangey red colour, which is lovely. So that's been in for about 2 or 3 days, although no, definitely 3 or 4 days actually. The ray burn has not been going well, so it's not been hot all the time, so it's heated and cooled a few times over those days, which is more or less the same for all of them. So that it's been a pretty similar situation for all of the tests. So I can hang this outside now and get the next lot in. So my next packet is turmeric, and I'm guessing this one's going to be quite strong. That's looking good. It's a nice bright yellow. Okay, I'll just show you the turmeric that's now been in a couple of days. Look how bright that is. It's a really rich deep yellow. It's lovely. Now this one hasn't been heated as much as some of the others because we're basically running out of wood, but now I've just got one more to do. So my last one is just called Forest Green. This was one that did come with instructions. Don't know why this one did, not the others. But it says it derives from natural indigo, alkanet, and also contains fermented pomegranate. So that's quite interesting. It also says to add vinegar to try and get a pH of, where is it? pH 2. So I've just stuck in some extra vinegar into the water for this one. And goes the Forest Green. It also says in the instructions to boil for 45 minutes. I've got plenty of logs in the Rayburn because we want a bath tonight as well, but I don't know if we're going to manage to keep it to a boiling temperature, so I'm just going to see how far we manage to get. Okay, here we are. Here's the results of the last dye, the Forest Green, which is definitely more, I would say, a jade blue than a forest green. And look, the cotton hasn't taken to it hardly at all. I'm so surprised how different it is from silk to cotton, I really am. So this one has had longer soaking because we were away for the weekend. However, it didn't have the same amount of heat because we had literally just run out of logs. So that's the last of all my little sample packs of natural dyes. I'm really excited to see how well they're going to wash once I've left them alone. I think partly where I've gone wrong in the past is I've been too keen to wash the items I've naturally dyed. But I've read some advice that you should wait a couple of weeks to wash them through to see how colour fast they are. So I leave them all alone and I'll show you the results in a couple of weeks. This is quite exciting. Hello everyone, it is now probably 2 months later. So I thought it was about time I got out all the silks and cottons and showed you what they're looking like. So I hope you can hear me all right. I'm outside in the garden. If you watch my vlogs, you'll know that means I live, that I'm difficult to hear over the traffic. And also I've got farm machinery going on the other side of me, but we'll crack on anyway. So this lot of fabric has now had plenty of time to sort of absorb the dye, if you like, and this is the results. So we've got cotton on the right, silk on the left. That's the marigold. That's the elderberry. That's my first load of logwood chips. That's my second load of logwood chips. Then we have the turmeric, and then we have the forest green. And now the plan was to wash them and hang them to dry, but I think I'm gonna have to wait for the sun to go in again. But then I'll show you the results of them again after being washed. Hello, I'm back. The silks have been drying, and the silks and cottons have been drying on the line for the last couple of hours, and I think that it's just about to get dark, so I need to get them in now because it's getting really quite chilly out here actually. But yeah, I'm really pleased. The colours are beautiful. They're not all a deep rich colour, but they've got such beautiful tones that you just don't get with like chemical dyes, like with Dylon. The tones in them are just beautiful. I hope you can hear me with the wind and the traffic. Hardly any colour came out when I washed them. So I'm quite impressed with using alum as a mordant, so I think that worked really well. In fact, the only one that came out really was the mustard yellow turmeric, which didn't surprise me at all. So I washed that one last. But yeah, none of the others, maybe a little bit out of the purple, but not even the purple logwood chips really came out very much at all. So I am so impressed, very pleased. So I think what I'll do is I'll take you off the tripod, give you a little close-up view of each one, and so you can see the final results. Right, so at the back here is the marigold. Fortunately, there's a bit of a brown stain right in the middle. Oh, that's a shame. Again, it's this gorgeous sort of antique, pale, faded gold sort of colour, which is lovely. This is the cotton muslin. It barely shows at all, as you can see. I mean, perhaps when you sort of fold it up, you can see a very slight tonal quality there, but really it's not very much at all, so I wouldn't recommend it on cotton. Perhaps I didn't prepare this well enough. They were on the stove for a long time, so it should have been fine. So next we have elderberry, which was not what I expected. This sort of, I think you'd call it greyish, I'm not really sure. It's sort of like a beigey grey, do you know what I mean? Again, with a sort of hint of antique gold in it. Yeah, quite pale but very, very pretty. It took slightly better to the cotton, but not by very much. When you put them together, you can sort of see that the tones are the same. On its own, it just looks white really, but it's taken a little bit. So the next one I used was the logwood chips. This one was the first batch of silk and cotton. The cotton here has gone a bit more patchy. Perhaps I didn't stir it enough when it was in the saucepan, but yeah, again, as you can see, it's really quite faint, quite pale on the cotton, gorgeously rich. I mean, look at that, that's a proper Cadbury purple, isn't it? Am I allowed to say that anymore? I don't know, they've trademarked it, haven't they? But that's lovely. The second silk is just as good. Again, I've got this sort of funny marks. I don't know if this is something to do with the alum or the saucepan I used, but that cropped up a couple of times, these marks on there. I'll show you the two cottons next to each other. So the cotton is fainter on the second one. Okay, next was the turmeric. Oh my god, I mean, that's such a gorgeous, rich mustard yellow. It's beautiful, and that took very well on the cotton as well. I mean, obviously a bit paler, but that's the best one I think out of all of them. And lastly, the forest green, which had the most strange marks on it. Didn't take very evenly at all, and quite brown at the top there as well actually. But still, on the whole, a really gorgeous turquoise green, which isn't coming out very well in the camera actually. It's much more vivid than it's showing. That is quite frustrating when that happens on the camera. And this is the forest green cotton, which has just faded. I think this one must have faded it in the wash, because I don't think it was as bad as this. But now it's just gone cream, which is very disappointing. So that's the end of the video. As you can see, the results on the silk were so much better than it was on the cotton. But I won't give up with cotton just yet. That's it. I've never had results that bad ever with cotton before. So maybe it was a bit of a weird batch of fabric that I've bought. I will give it another go and let you know. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope it's useful if you're thinking about trying some natural dye packets instead of your usual chemically bought dyes, and if so, please give this video a thumbs up, please share with your friends, and subscribe if you're new here, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.